Love has won. Joy, rain. Greetings, love being of creation. Shout out to Father of creation. We love you. Thank you. All of us in this together. In the present moment of now, letting go, choosing joy, choosing love. My Kundalini energy is just like been going up and down all day long, really intensely. Yippee lady is what they call me now. The biggest shift ever on this planet is happening now. Head into the present moment of now. Let go of all thoughts which don't bring you joy and get into the present moment. Out of the head into the heart, and there's no turning back now. We're losing our mind. I'm like, well, that really is the point. Yeah, so you are. You gotta lose your mind. You gotta get into the heart. Again, we're in the big shift. The big shift. As long as we're choosing love, we're always going the right direction. Get into nature, remain calm, follow your heart, and gather with like vibrational beings over the internet or physically. And I'd love to connect with you. There's so much fun. And New Earth Equal Heart, the new story. Here we come. Love has won. Joy, rain. And yeehaw. And yeehaw. And yeehaw. And yeehaw.
Completed mission. And so the divine plan is inevitable. That's why I'm sitting here in front of this camera right now. We woke up. Everyone's got to wake up now.
Most humans are stuck in the third dimensional vibrational states.
Third dimensional vibrational states.
Hello, everyone, and how are you all doing today? I hope that you're having an awesome day. So I have gifted 5 memberships today to people in my community. So I just want to give a shout out to, of course, the Devil's Advocate, April, who was on the board, Wes, and Scam Chan. That's who got the gifted memberships. couldn't have worked out much better if I picked it myself. I'm just saying. So welcome to the memberships. It also gives you access to tomorrow's video ad-free early today, so be sure to check that out after this. It's about Eli Regalato, who is a pastor that is very much running a scam that's similar to On Passive in a lot of different ways, but it's a crypto scam because the church told him that it was okay. God told him to scam people, all right? God told him to scam them, so he scammed them. So be sure to go and check that out today before it goes live with the ads on it for everyone else tomorrow. She is back, everyone. I thought she might come back soon. I was expecting more towards spring, but Aurora is back. She has uploaded a recent video on the 5D University website. We are going to be reacting to that next week. And today we're going to be going through the vibrational scale map, which is kind of like the last piece that you really have to understand to get this alleged ascension journey, I guess. It kind of has been happening in steps, and there's some major pieces involved here, right? Like, you need to know how to do their ceremonies. For example, they tell you all about the different ceremonies. So one of the major things you have to learn is how to do the ceremonies. You have to understand the whole purpose of the ascension journey and what it all means and what it is. And then the other part of it that you really have to understand is kind of like how these different dimensions work, right? Because the whole thing is going from the 3D dimension into the 5D, right? The 5D dimension is where it's at. That's where you want to be. That's where Amy Carlson, Mother God, is hanging out with Robin Williams in a spaceship in the ocean in the sky, right? So that's kind of the main parts that you have to really understand about this cult. And I would say that this video that Aurora uploaded about the 3D, 4D, and 5D vibrational scale, along with their ascension map, is kind of the last piece of this puzzle in terms of putting it together. Next week, we're going to be reacting to her most recent video in which she gives us the energy reports kind of for January and this February. And the week after that, we're going to be reacting to Amy's ex-husband. Amy's ex-husband did a video in which he spoke out about her, so I thought it would be very interesting if we took a listen to that, just so that you know what's coming in future. They've also added a new book, which is Rainbow Meditation, to their lovely university library, if you will. So I want to check that one out with you guys in future. They have a lot of meditation stuff going on. So the vibrational scale map is the vibrational scale ascension map, and it provides the scale of vibrational frequencies that we must move through, master, and anchor, right? So you're on your ascension journey, you're doing all the ceremonies they're telling you to do, and then this is like kind of the other piece. Like I said, you have to also be moving through these vibrational frequencies. Your journey is like, that's part of the journey. If you're not doing that while you're also shedding your ego and doing all of the ceremonies, then technically you're not ascending, right? So it says we must move through master and anchor. Each level has its own challenges, and we provide tools and techniques to mastering each level. And so the tools and techniques that she provides are basically what she says in the book and in the video. So give me a minute to say hello to everybody. I just kind of came on and started talking. Hello, Joe. Good to see you. Everyone, please do remember that the Google auto mods are in effect. So please refrain from swearing. Come up with fun ways to swear if you must. That way Joe doesn't have to approve every comment. Hello, Wes. Good to see you. Love as one. That's not your dad. Jason Castillo isn't my dad either. Not at all. Not at all. They couldn't Photoshop her face. The blue stinks. The funny thing is that while that was happening and she was taking the colloidal silver and going blue, they tried to use that to say that that was her like ascending on her journey and it became a good thing. And they were all like, oh, you look so beautiful, Amy. Right? Because she's this godly being that can never do no wrong and always looks wonderful in their eyes. So it's almost like they didn't notice it. Hello, Grateful Mama 420. Good to see you. You tried to get her to talk to you in the comments, but it didn't work. Yeah, they don't really like talk to anyone in their comments unless it's somebody that they really, really recognized. I've noticed that. 5D is the best dimension for scams and schemes and lies, probably. Probably. So the Ascension map isn't very long. It's 4 pages, which again, I find very hilarious. Because you would think that if this was such a big part of their journey and was so important, and you have to know this vibrational scale, that it would be longer than 4 pages. I'm just saying. Again, it's a little weird. But as you can see, it has pain and suffering stages. There's always this thing in like spirituality and religions, I find, where they're like, you have to have pain and suffering in order to learn your lesson and get through things. And I'm like, why can't you just be happy-go-lucky and learn through life? I don't know. But obviously these guys very much hold that belief as well. So it begins with the pain and suffering stages, which again is just wonderful. I'm sure you can't wait to start, right? When you hear that. So for each one of these, you have like a trap, tools, and then you almost get like a score level. I hope she explains to us what that all means. Like, what does shame 20 mean? You know what I'm saying? But the trap with shame is allowing others' projections to become your identity. And the tools is self-love disciplines are key in transforming shame. Specifically, I am mirror affirmations, which help the shame begin to dissolve. And I'm like, not really. Like, that helps with your self-love and your self-care and positive self-talk. But I don't know if it would do much for shame. Anyway, that's what they say to do. The next one is guilt. So the trap with guilt is believing you deserve punishment. And I'm like, maybe you feel like you deserve punishment, or maybe you just did something wrong that you feel bad about. That's a little bit different. But anyway, forgiveness is the cure for guilt. Practicing forgiveness ceremonies of self, others, and all events. Bless all food and beverages before consuming, as guilt lies in the stomach. So shame on them all, right, Joe? I think it's hilarious that they're like, bless your food and your beverages because, you know, the guilt lies in your stomach. So if you're not blessing your food or your beverages, that hamburger you're eating, it's going to just sit in your stomach and it's going to make you feel guilt. It's like, oh, that's all it takes? I just got to bless my food and my drinks and then I'm cured? Apathy. So the trap with apathy is getting stuck in depression. Energy must move or it becomes stagnant. I do have to say that if you are feeling depressed, laying in bed all day is not going to help you. But, you know, it's not that bad to take a day in bed. I had to take 2 this last week. You know, life happens. So the tools, it says, apathy can only be overcome through movement of the body. Grounding, stretching, and sticking to 2 to 3 disciplines per day can transform apathy. And I'm like, well, what about just like exercising every day? If you do that, you just won't experience that one at all. You know what I mean? Seems weird. The trap with grief, which grief is number 75. Again, we're not really sure what these numbers mean. The trap with grief is attachment and being unwilling to accept the present moment as it is. And the tool for grief that's going to cure it is emotional processing. It's key during this phase. Working through the 7 stages of grief and allow all emotions to be expressed and released. Self-care, nurturing, and stillness are keys. And then I'm like, okay, but then what if you're also experiencing like apathy and getting stuck in depression, and then you're supposed to move around? And so you're experiencing apathy and grief. Oftentimes you'll experience emotions 2 or 3 at a time. So you come here to get your advice. And the one for apathy is like, do a lot of exercises, move around. And then the one for grief is like, be still. Be still. So I'm like, is that why there's numbers? Does the grief 75 tools trump the apathy 50 tools? Like, which tool do we use in that situation? In order for this whole thing to work with 5D, right, you would only have to feel one emotion at a time. And almost like in this order for it to be like a journey of your vibrational scale. Like, nobody's going to feel, like, you can't take a whole group of people and be like, hey, you guys have to go through these emotions in this order and use these tools to overcome them. Go. And then expect that everyone's just going to go through it like that. It will never happen that way. Apathy. I really don't care one way or the other. Aurora definitely has a belly full of guilt. You know, she was showing up her boobies, I felt, in the last one. I was kind of like, look, Aurora, what you wearing in this? We'll get into that. So, again, the next one would be fear. And they say the trap with fear is believing that it is real and running away from our fears rather than facing them. So they say trust is the cure for fear and exiting fight or flight. Use the mantra, I trust and surrender. Grounding in cold showers assist the body with dissolving fight or flight. Always ask your angels for assistance when dissolving fear. For more info on how to ask your angels for things, we covered that little pamphlet booklet on how to talk to your angels. So you can check that out. They have a whole ceremony and a way of doing it. Coming from somebody that has a trauma disorder that lives almost my whole life in fight or flight, may I please just say that cold showers are actually an awful, awful idea and can actually send your body into shock, which it might already be experiencing if you are experiencing like real fear. All right. Oftentimes, that type of fear that would put you in fight or flight, you have to be in fear of your life ending. Okay, so like that would be like a pretty traumatizing experience. Okay? When you're traumatized, probably one of the worst things someone could do to you is throw you in a cold shower, shocking your body with the cold, and therefore also your mind. Not good advice. Not good advice. Don't do that. That will not help because it says trust is the cure. So in order for someone to get over this for real, they do have to be in a trusting environment. If my ass is flipping out, okay, and I just had something traumatic happen to me, and I'm now in fight or flight mode, and your ass goes to grab me to put me in a shower, a cold shower, and you're trying to gain my trust, we are now fist fighting in the bathroom. I do not trust you. I don't ever want you touching me again. And we're going to have some fucking major problems. Don't do that to somebody. Please. That's just not a good idea. Not going to at all make that person trust you. Okay, if you go to touch them in that time and throw them in a shower, no. So maybe don't do that unless having a cold shower is a known method for you personally when you go into that state for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe there's somebody out there it would work for. But just generally, no, that's not a great idea. Please don't do that. Grounding, Also, you wouldn't really be able to ground in a cold shower. I feel like that whole grounding thing. But trusting and surrender is not something that you can do just by like chanting about it. Right? It's up to you to kind of help make your environment one that's trusting, and then who are you around? If you're living in a house with people you can't trust, right? Or in a compound with a bunch of people who would leave you mummified in a bed, then, just running around going, I trust and surrender, is probably not going to help your trauma at all or help your fear at all. Yes, Scam Chan, there would be a huge cat fight. I would get very, very upset. And I would not trust you at all. I would be like, I don't trust you now. Every time I'm upset, you're going to try and throw me in the fucking shower? Like, what's going on here? Like, technically, just feeling safe is the cure for fear. And exiting fight or flight can take a lot more than that. I've had like 30 years of therapy and I still haven't exited fight or flight. Okay? It depends. That's something you should do again with a counselor, all right, in therapy, with people you trust, and not here, not in a cult, not on your own. Love how they have the fullDisclosure.org at the bottom of every page when you have to go there in order to download this document. So, like, obviously you already know about the website. It's great marketing. The next one is desire, which I was kind of like, that's bizarre because they're very sexual in this cult. When they were Love Is One, everything was very sexy, wasn't it? Now desire is something to overcome. The trap with desire is externalization. Joy can only be produced from the internal state. So in other words, like, you're the only one that can make yourself happy. That kind of thing. The tools, it says, desires stem from our ego's wants and needs of things external from ourselves. Practice cultivating the feeling of what you desire internally through meditation. And I'm kind of like, I don't know, like sometimes maybe you do just need something from someone else. Like human connection is not something that you can foster yourself, by yourself. You know what I mean? If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there's quite a few things on there that you cannot just do on your own by yourself. So, I don't know. And again, the whole desire now being a negative thing is a bit odd. It's a little bit odd. Anger is number 150. And whenever I'm reading this one, I'm like, is that what Amy did when she would get really drunk and she would like call and scream at you girls when you were doing these live streams? Because there's like clips of Aurora and Hope live trying to do their Love Has Won cult shit. At the time it was Love Has Won. And then Amy Carlson like calls them up on the phone all drunk and starts screaming and swearing at them. There's also videos that I've shown on my channel here. You can go and check out any of the deep dives I've done. I usually try to start all of them with some clips. And there's clips of Amy just flipping out. Like all the time at people. Like she was a very, very mean drunk. A very, very angry person. And she would get all into the, let's take down the cabal. And then they would get very, very angry on the live streams. And she would be like swearing and calling people names and using slurs and just being a disgusting person. So I'm kind of like, it's funny you want to talk to us about anger management. 5D full disclosure call. When Amy Carlson, your mother god, could maybe use some of that herself. I'm just saying. I don't feel like she followed this. And again, if you're going to be in a cult, you're going to run a cult, the leader needs to be doing all these things if they're going to be preaching them, okay? And you just don't see that here, as you don't with most cults, by the way. In most cults, the leaders are complete assholes. They're not doing anything that they're telling everyone else to do, and they're all pieces of shit, okay? Just the truth. And that's why they're so funny, because, like, you have this cult that's run by Amy Carlson, one of the angriest fucking people in the world. Have you met Jason Castillo? Another one of the most racist, disgusting, angriest people in the world. And it's like they came together and they made this cult. And like, this is what they wanted to talk about. Anger. The trap with anger is wanting to hold on to it as a form of self-protection, rather than allowing it to release. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Anger can be used as a coping mechanism. Oftentimes when people display anger, it's because they're feeling a more vulnerable feeling, such as, sadness, rejection, something like that. So it comes out in anger. So, I mean, okay, yeah, that could maybe be the trap. But then the tools are, anger stems from suppressed pain and often needs a safe outlet to be vented and released. Journaling, movement, and taking full accountability dissolve anger. Avoid blame and projections. And I'm like, what great advice. I'm so glad they put that in writing for us. Also, I don't know if I would ever consider anything to do with any of these people as a safe outlet to be vented and released. Like, Laura and Hope are not my kind of people that I would call up to vent. I'm just saying. Pride. Number 175. The trap with pride is needing to be right and refusing to take accountability. So then I'm confused because, again, this is supposed to be like somewhat of a journey where you're going through these stages and you're feeling these emotions. And I'm like, I thought we already dealt with that up here when we were dealing with anger. Okay, we were like, we have to take full accountability. See, taking full accountability dissolves anger. So we're here, we take full accountability, and then we come down here and it's like, listen, you're not taking full accountability. And you're like, wait, what? I already did that the last time. But sure. Whatever. That's why this is a cult pamphlet. So the tools are, pride stems from lack of self-love and vulnerability. Ask for help and be willing to allow others to support you. Focus on opening the heart chakra through conscious breathing. So now we do want support from others. So there's times in this where you're like, do it all yourself. It's up to you. Everything comes from within. And then there's other times where they'll throw in a, hey, it's okay to ask for help sometimes and get support from others. It's like, pick one. You can't keep going back and forth like this, okay? You just can't. Also, I've done some reading on the heart chakras in my time. I used to be into new spirituality too in my early 20s when I was in college and whatnot. Didn't we all? We're all liberals and into very new age spiritual stuff. No, just me. Okay, cool. And the whole thing about the heart chakra is that if you are opening up these chakras, a lot of times the people that came up with that method, all right, suggest that that's not exactly a good thing. You have to be ready to do that. Okay. Opening up your chakras can allegedly open you up to feeling like too much empathy for others, being really super sensitive to like vibes and stuff. So like technically that's also bad advice. You wouldn't tell somebody who is experiencing pride and being kind of a jerk with it, not taking accountability and saying they're right all the time, as they define pride to mean here, right? And you wouldn't tell them to open up their heart chakra. They would not be ready yet for that. And so this is what I mean when I say they take these belief systems from elsewhere, right? From like Reiki and Buddhism and all of that kind of stuff, but then they butcher them. Because again, opening your heart chakra is not just something you should be doing out here to get over pride. These teachings sound like they were written by Unpassive AI, right? Unpassive's Al makes as much sense, I know. Like some of them would, like work sort of if you were in like a therapeutic setting, like with a therapist. But again, that would have to be guided by a therapist for a lot of this. Ending your fight and flight, for example. I don't suggest doing that alone by yourself. It's good to have like a good support person there. You know? And I used to do interventions with people in mental health. I was saying that's just not a good idea. As someone with it and who's done those interventions for other people before, I would not recommend. So the next one is arrogance, 190. Again, we're not really sure what these numbers mean yet. Hoping Aurora will explain that to us in her video. The trap with arrogance is thinking you know better rather than learning. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. Basically, these traps are really just the definitions, right? They're like, arrogance means this. So, the tools. Arrogance stems from a deep sense of lack of empowerment. To cover it up, we become arrogant. Cut cords with all lower thoughts and use the mantra, I don't know shit. Yes, and they swear. They're like, walk around saying, I don't know shit. And I'm like, yeah, that's classy. You should do that. Wherever you are. Just be like, I don't know shit. So the next one is courage, and it's number 200, or you get 200 points if you display it. Again, we're not really sure what it means. The trap with courage is needing external validation in order to embody it. Okay. Not really. Courage and fear, I feel, go hand in hand, but never mind. Courage is where we begin to enter the life-enhancing state, it says in the tools. And we exit the pain and suffering phase. Oh, great. Awesome. The key here is not to allow the external to dictate our courage, but to follow our hearts no matter what the external circumstances or opposition may be. Excuse me. Again, follow your hearts, not your mind. Don't use your logical thinking. Don't use your problem-solving skills. No critical thinking over here. Your hearts. Follow your heart. Everything will be led by the heart. And again, I don't know how that helps with courage. I'm just saying, like, courage is usually something that you use to get over fear. So, like, that's my whole thing. How are we supposed to get over fear? Way over here at the beginning of this, right? First page, right? Like, we're doing fear. And then we come over here, and then we're doing courage? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? So I just find that very interesting. You know, lead with your heart. Oh yeah, so now we've left the pain and suffering phase. When you get to 200 courage points, you level up. Okay, you level up into the transformation stages. All right? And that one starts with neutrality at 250 points. The trap with neutrality is becoming overly passive and enabling dysfunction. And I'm like, not really, but okay. If that's what you want to call it. Neutrality is the art of seeing things as they are without judgment of good, bad, or right or wrong. Always ask, what is this showing me? And I'm like, what the hell is this teaching us? Because that doesn't tell me anything at all. Again, you just gave me the definition. And then told me to ask myself what things are showing me as I, like, what, just go through life? And here's the thing, here's an issue, okay? I've talked about this before in terms of, like, how there's good anxiety. There's also good judgment, by the way. Sometimes it's okay to be judgy. Yeah, I said it. All right, I know everyone out here is always like, don't judge people, don't judge. It's okay to judge. It really is. And when you're going through situations, oftentimes you will judge these situations. And you'll use your past situations and your knowledge and what you know, all of the things that you've gone through in life, your life experience, knowledge, and experiences to kind of judge how maybe you can handle the situation in future. Is that a bad thing? No. No, it's not. The other day, somebody tried to get into an argument with me and Tim Hortons. I judged that person. I said, this is not somebody I want to even, talk to. Ended the conversation right quick, okay? Was that a bad thing? No. No, if I hadn't have made that judgment at the beginning, we would have all gotten into a big fist fight at the Tim Hortons yesterday. Sometimes it's okay to judge a situation, judge an experience, or even judge a person. It's not always a bad thing. So, this whole, neutrality thing, again, do you want to, be a fence sitter? Be always neutral? Is that really a good thing? And this is coming, and I am, technically that person. I'm a centrist. I'm right in the middle politically. I have a very hard time picking a side when I have two decisions to make. I can always see things from both sides, and I'll tell you right, it's fucking annoying. You don't want to be that person. Sometimes you want to be able to pick a side quick. I don't know if that's a goal, to be a completely neutral person in everything. What, you don't want to stand out sometimes? You don't want to, And so I don't know what the lesson is supposed to be here. I don't know if this was it. I feel like they're trying to say that they don't want you to be overly passive and that they want you to have a neutral view of the world. And again, I'm I don't know if that's good. Do we want that? Would that be a good thing? Sometimes shit just happens. And that's the thing, up here, you want them to go around going, I don't know shit, I don't know shit, I don't know shit. But, sometimes shit just happens. And it's not necessarily there to teach you anything, to show you anything specific. You know what I mean? So then what? What if you're going around, you're like, what is this showing me? And it's not really showing us anything. Then what? The next one is willingness, which, very interesting coming from a cult, isn't it? Willingness is number 310. And the trap with willingness is that it can morph into forcing things rather than flowing with them. And I'm like, yeah, okay, got it. Willingness is our inner fire, it says in the tools. Our inner fire that is willing to do what it takes to transform, heal, evolve, etc. We are open to experimenting and finding out what works for us. So again, I guess what they're talking about is the willingness to change. Willingness is, again, very general. Everything's very general here. That could mean 10 different things. The next one is acceptance. You get 350 points. The trap with acceptance is allowing others to take energy from you without any boundaries. And I'm like, not always. I mean, wouldn't that more fit in with the willingness? No? Okay. So then for the tools, it says, acceptance is when we are not in resistance to the present moment. And I'm like, oh, okay. We're deaf, but okay. We allow all that comes into our experience. And I'm like, do we? Are we supposed to? But then we must discern what it is calling for us to do, change, transform. And I'm like, okay. So basically with willingness, you may give up your free will. And then with this, it's accept whatever we tell you to do without resistance. And now we're back to the cult things. Right? And then that opens it up for them to basically use this against people. Oh, well, you're not using willingness. You're not being very accepting by doing all of these steps that we're telling you to do. Why aren't you doing them all? And then this can get used against the cult members. And that creeps me out. The next one is reason 400. And I'm like, reason 400? Why I don't think you should join this cult. Okay, let's go. Trap. The trap with reason is trying to figure it out rather than allowing clarity to come. And again, I'm just going to say it. I don't believe in just sitting and allowing clarity to come to you. I don't believe in asking for messages from the universe, a higher power, because you misinterpret everything after that as being the message. Okay, if I sit here and I say, God, should I... Listen, I don't know, I'm just trying to come up with one off the top of my head. Should I buy Scam Chan a membership? Please send me a message. Oh, dear Mother God, Amy Carlson up above. In your spaceship with Robin Williams, let me know. All right, and then I'm looking now. All right, so I said my little prayer. I asked the angels to send me my confirmation, if you will, like they say to do here, right? And I want to know, should I do that for Scam Chan? Well, now for the rest of the day, okay, if I believed that I did this, I would be hyper-focusing on anything that happened. A bird chirps outside. Is that the sign? I dropped a fork in the kitchen. Is that a sign? Did that mean no? You know what I mean? Like someone comes and knocks on the door. Are they the sign? And then I'm literally open to interpreting anything that happens as that sign. And then based on my own personal bias on what I personally, maybe even subconsciously, want the answer to be, I'm going to go with that answer. So let's say I didn't give a fuck about Scam Chan. And I was like, no, fuck him. Well, then when I dropped that fork, I would be like, oh, nope, that's a sign that says, nope, don't do that for him. Fuck him. See, I knew God would send me a sign. If I did want to do it, the bird chirps. That's a sign. The bird's telling me yes. Do you see what I mean? Like that kind of allowing clarity to come thing. It's always iffy to me. And I'm like, don't, maybe you should go and try to figure things out for yourself. What's wrong with some problem solving, So the tools here says, reason is where we learn our true discernment. We are able to identify the energies presented to us, as well as any energies within us that are a mirror. And we discern the highest response step to take. And I'm like, but I thought you told us that we stopped projecting on the first page. We're on page 3 now, Aurora. So it shouldn't be anything within us that are a mirror of ourselves. We don't project anymore. But okay. Okay. I guess reason just means that you feel energies. Good to know. The next one is understanding for 450 points. The trap with understanding is lack of wisdom and lack of experience disguised as understanding. True understanding, it says under tools, comes from going through an experience and gaining the wisdom from it. We cannot truly understand the higher frequency concepts until we go through the lower ones, transform them, heal them, and learn from them. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that left that really open. So again, these higher frequency concepts are just these future concepts, whatever the fuck Aurora and Hope to teach people. They can just come up with anything now and then call it these higher frequency concepts. The cultiness is very, very, very big in this one. Wait until I release my video next week where they teach us how to build a compound. Yeah, that's a book. So now we're done those stages, all right? Right? The transformation stages, which there are only a few of them, but whatever. I guess there's only a handful of those. Now we are on to the embodiment stages, right? The embodiment stages. These are the big ones. These are the ones you're trying to get to. We still don't know what the numbers mean, but you want to be love 500. The trap with love is feeling you are in unconditional love, but are actually in conditional love. And I'm like, funny you should say that as a cult. Yeah, if you didn't do whatever Mother God told you to do when you were living in that house, she would scream at you, yell at you, not let you eat, not let you sleep, not let you get water, make you be her slave. So, unconditional love versus conditional love. I guess they'd be well versed on it. Under the tools, it says unconditional love stems from balanced harmonics. Which, you remember that book? That was one of the first ones we read. An internal balance of both masculine and feminine polarities, and a dissolvement of all ego programming. So basically, you get to the end of your journey when you're here. This is when you've finally done your ego death ceremony. So see how this is kind of happening at the same sort of time, coinciding with your ascension journey. This is how you get through it. Yay! You've done your death ego ceremony. And now you're balancing out your masculine and feminine harmonics and you're good to go. You're ascending at the end of that journey now. And then you get joy 540. And the trap here is getting caught in fake joy, or all love and light, while denying deeper layers of emotions, which is funny because they still tell you to deny those deeper layers of emotions. Only think with your heart, not really analyze anything. So, okay. And under tools, it says, joy is an internal state that has to be cultivated each day, focusing on each present moment of what would bring my soul joy is how we stay present in the moment. And I'm like, not really. Like, joy just means being happy. I mean, if you have to cultivate joy every day to feel some happiness, maybe you need some medication to help with some serotonin levels. Just say it. That's not normal. We're almost done. And we'll hear what she has to say about it. Peace is the next one for 600 points. The trap with peace is being attached to external peace, leading to avoidance and people pleasing. And again, I'm like, I thought we already dealt with all that by the time we got here. But okay, I guess we're just dealing with that now. Again. Under the tools, it says peace is an internal state of being, heart-centered, no matter the external circumstances. Peace is cultivated through consistent embodiment and processing of all emotions and reactions. And I'm like, yeah, but if you use this thing to process all your emotions and reactions, good luck. That's all I got to say about that. The next one is enlightenment for 700. And the trap with enlightenment is the spiritual ego, which convinces us we are higher than others. And I'm like, bitch, we let our ego go. Like way up here. Okay, the dissolvement of all ego programmings. We did this for love. Why am I doing that for love? And even before this, all right? Why am I doing that up here? And then you tell me again here that my ego has come back to haunt me. Why? I let him go. We did the death ceremony. Rip. Okay, it's over. Why is my spiritual ego here again? To convince me that I'm better than other people. Why? What is it doing here? Who went and resuscitated it? Okay? Was it Jesus? It comes back after 3 days of being dead? What is happening? The tools say enlightenment is an internal state, free of all belief systems. It is here we are connected straight to source and our experience life as a wonderful adventure. Yeah, that's what it says. Where we are always learning and evolving. I'm like, yeah, okay. But if we're free of all belief systems, then technically we're like, all right, well, done with this ascension journey. I don't believe in this shit anymore. Time to wrap that up. Guess we're leaving the cult. Just saying. Kind of can't really say that when you're running a cult, Aurora. All right? If you don't need any of those belief systems and you're in a state where you're free of all belief systems, they're not going to believe in any of this shit, Lauryn. Okay, Lauryn, listen to me. They're not going to believe this shit then. You need them to believe in belief systems. Very last one, of course, don't worry, is the unknown, which gets you a whole 1,000 points if you could reach there. And then I think if you get all of the points, by the way, then you get a special little visit with Robin Williams on the galactic spaceship. I'm just saying, that sounds like a good prize to me. The trap with the unknown is thinking you have it all figured out, when source can never be figured out. Oh, we got you. That's how I feel like that is. They're like, we're going to give you all of the answers to life, why we are here, what our journey should be, and, you know, our purpose and all that. And then you get to the end of this, and they're like, yeah, you can't figure any of this shit out. Fuck you. You don't know shit. I'm like, oh, that's why you told me to do that mantra earlier. I get it now. And then they say, love and the unknown are the only two energies in existence, also known as source, mother and father, because Amy Carl's is both now, by the way, since Jason is no longer there. She's both, and apparently always has been. Just ignore the 20 father gods that she had. Just ignore them. They don't exist. They were never there. What the fuck are you talking about? There were none. It's always been Amy the whole time as mother and father. The unknown is limitless in expressions and possibilities, and one can never strive for this state. It can only be experienced. And I'm like, well, fuck you. Why did you even put it here? Why? Why is it even a step? You're like, this is what you should achieve, but you're never going to. Joke's on you. You can just experience it. You can only experience Mother God. Sorry. And I'm like, well, thank you for that. That was very enlightening. And I definitely learned all about my vibrational scale, but I didn't learn how to score it. So hopefully, in this little video that we're going to watch, which Lauryn, Aurora, posted on her 5D University page, hopefully she explains it all to us. Because she's going to tell us about our vibrational scale. Even though she gives me the worst vibes out of anyone I've ever seen. Other than maybe Ash Mufara.
Welcome, everybody, to 5D University, and today's topic is the vibrational scale. So this is kind of going to intertwine with where we talked about what is the ascension, which is going from the third dimensional state to the fourth to the fifth, the ego programmings, and the insights of the awakening, which those are your foundational kind of go-to insights that prepare you for how to be on this awakening journey. And so the vibrational scale is going to be key for us because right now, most humans are stuck in the third dimensional vibrational states. And these are emotional states, right? So in the third dimensional vibrational state, We are existing under 200 level vibration. So 200 and under is a life draining state. And so when we're in life draining states, this is what leads to pain, illness, disease. This is what leads to fear. And this is what leads to suffering. It keeps us in a limited perception, keeps us in deeply held belief systems, keeps us from expanding to our highest potential, which is when we are able to anchor in our higher self. And they're life draining because we are disconnected from source when we are in these lower states of frequencies. And so we don't
I do like that she took notes for this. You can see her looking down.
Have the life sustaining energy, which is our heart, our connection to source, sustains us. Death and decay and all these things that we have in the
Wes says Luna is living below 200, in my opinion. Yeah, you would also think that she would have this all memorized.
The third dimensional state is due to these life draining emotions, these life draining vibrations. So part of this journey and why we, work to dissolve the programmings, do the inner healing, use the tools and techniques, is so that we can begin to anchor in the life sustaining frequencies until we are existing fully within those. And that is how we go from a third dimensional state of being to a fourth to a fifth.
So it is the point.
And the one thing I wanted to say about the vibrational scale as well is that you're going to go up and down the vibrational scale. It's not like once you anchor into a higher vibrational state, and that's where a lot of people get stuck too, is they believe if they're wanting to live in a higher vibrational state, that they should never experience these lower emotions.
Because that's how it's portrayed in the writing. And that's kind of what you say, is that once you get to these higher states and you're closer to Mother God, you're over these, right? You give advice on how to no longer experience these emotions or how to properly deal with them so that you could go on to the next stage. It's how it's presented. I don't think, see, Aurora, you're doing the same thing that like Ash and them do, all the scammers, where you put it on the people. Like, of course they interpreted it that way. Because that's how it's laid out to them. It's like, if you experience these lower vibrational frequencies, you're less than a good person in our cult. All right, our goal is to all be in the high vibrational scale, to be close to Mother God. You're not going to get on the spaceship with the other galactics if you don't do it. And now here's the steps to do it. So do it. And it's like, well, yeah, of course they're going to feel less than. Especially with the way that you word things and how you put emotions at low vibrations. Like normal human emotions. That, like you say here, people just normally experience. So it's like, that's your fault. You did that.
And more importantly, that if they do experience these lower vibrational states, that they immediately try to kind of get out of it. Oh, I got to get back to a high vibe. That's the love and light kind of beliefs that end up trapping us as well.
But again, that's what you put out, right? Is that everyone's on this ascension journey. Everyone's supposed to be going through this vibrational scale in order to get to the end of this and be close to Mother God and be able to go and be one of the 144,000, hopefully. You got to be able to do all this shit. Come on now.
Because the truth is that your emotions are a compass. So your emotions are going to show you a multitude of things. So firstly, on an internal basis, it's going to show you where you still need to either dissolve some belief systems or programmings, or you do need to work on some more healing.
Okay, but see, that's the problem. What you just said there. The way that you presented this was that these emotions need to be worked through. You need to no longer feel them because they're like suppressed emotions that you need to work through, or it's something's happening that you have to fix. So that's why people are thinking that. Again, that's the way you're putting it.
In that area where there's something about a perspective that needs to shift within you. On an external level, we are all one consciousness. We are a collective consciousness. Yes, there are many of us. We are all existing on different kind of levels of consciousness, but we are still one. So especially when you do get into kind of the higher levels of this journey, you're still connected to everyone and everything. So for instance, if a large
So it's like you're all empaths and you're feeling a lower vibrational frequency because somebody else in the group is on that level. But then that wouldn't be your emotion. Then it's just the projection from somebody else. Like, this makes no sense, Aurora. This is just your way of explaining this because you realize that it doesn't actually make sense. Like, no one can go through this ascension journey in this vibrational scale as it's been put out and as technically you guys teach it because it's humanly impossible. Number one, none of it's true, and Mother God was just a normal woman with delusions of grandeur who had a lot of drug and alcohol habits and wanted to be praised, and that was that. She wasn't Cleopatra, she wasn't Jesus, she was nothing. Literally nothing. Just a shit person, if you ask me. So there's that. But even if you try to make sense out of it, and if you pretend that that's all real, like I said, and like you're kind of realizing here, like even the 7 stages of grief, people jump up and down around the different stages. You don't go through it like stage 1. Then you get through that and you go through stage 2. Then you're all through that and you go stage 3. You know, like it's never in order like that. That was kind of my point when I was going through it as well. Like you can't expect that, and it's not really fair to put that on people, to say, oh, well, now it must be somebody else's in the group. It's on a low vibrational frequency, so you could be feeling that. And it's kind of unfair to put normal emotions at these lower vibrational frequencies when you damn well know people are still going to feel them. Like, you should have seen this coming.
Large event happens, and collectively, whether that be in your direct family, community, or the collective as a whole, is feeling sadness, maybe, right? From this, or fear from this collective event. We're going to feel that too, because we're part of it. And really the key is just to acknowledge the feeling and realize that if the emotion's not yours, then you are picking it up because we're sharing collective space. And that's okay. The key is that...
See, but now that leaves it open so that now nobody knows what level they're at. Nobody knows where they are on their spiritual journey or anything. So now we can just continue this on forever until the end of time. And if you haven't reached enlightenment yet, that's okay. Just keep doing the steps and blah, 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 blah. You know?
You can let it flow through you. You know how to use the tools and techniques to process that emotion, to release it, and to heal it. And then you get back to your higher state just now.
Oh my God, Aurora, you said that it's not bad to experience them, and they don't put you on a lower state. And it's bad love and light energy and teachings to always feel like you have to get back to that higher vibrational state. And then you literally turned around and you said, listen, if you're experiencing one of those lower vibrational feelings, it might be from somebody else. In which case, just acknowledge it and then get over it and get back to your higher vibrational state. Like, how do you not realize what you just did? You literally just did the thing you said not to do. This is why this shit drives me insane.
Naturally and organically. But if we push away lower emotions because we either don't want to deal with them or because we believe we need to stay in this high vibe state, well, we end up just suppressing, which leads back to the same cycle.
Which you shouldn't be able to do. if you're at that higher vibrational scale, according to your higher vibrational scale list,
where we have all of this unconscious energy that is being,
which you would have dealt with already when you did your ego ceremony and all that other shit when you let go of the ego before you even reach the higher vibrational scale. So why would that be a problem, Aurora?
being held within us that ends up expressing itself. And suppression is one of the deepest programmings on this planet. We're so suppressed as
Yeah, I know. The ego program mind, right? And if you've reached your vibrational scale, like we just read through, all right, you're at that last page we just went through. So you've already done the ego death ceremony. Your ego is done, dead, gone, rip. Okay? You're supposed to be beyond that, right? That's your teachings. It's what you say in all your literature and in all your videos. So why would you now, in that, like, that's why people going through this would be confused. Because they're like, well, I already did my ego death ceremony and I let go of all this ego program mind shit already. So how would it still be controlling me when I'm in my higher vibrational scale? Right? Like, technically that doesn't make sense. Should be over it. Should know how to deal with it perfectly by now. Again, according to how you guys have put this out to the world.
humans. Not being able to fully express our emotions, not being able to deal with them or cope with them. So we don't want to fall into that trap. That's another like kind of belief system. And, you know, that we're somehow
Which trap is it, Aurora? We just went through them all. Do you remember?
going to reach this enlightened state and then that's it. And it's not it. This is an onion layer. This is a journey. And the whole point is that even when we do reach these higher vibrational states, and I'll go through the scale, for most of us, who, if you've been on this journey for a while, we're kind of teetering between the fourth and fifth dimensional frequencies. We may go up some days, we may drop a little bit. We may drop down into the real lower states sometimes, you know, it happens. But we're mastering each level as we go, right? This is how we literally go from 3D to 4D to 5D, is once we really transform all of those lower emotional vibrations, we transform the programmings that create those lower vibrations. We will naturally start.
So the fourth and fifth, I just wanted to double check. It's fear and desire. So she's saying that people get stuck between the fear and the desire stages.
Spending more of our time in the higher vibrations naturally and organically. And then when enough beings on the planet are existing in those, you know, they're daily experiencing.
Oh, I see. You have to get all the beings on the planet have to get into this high vibrational frequency in order for people to not experience those lower vibrational emotions, is what you're going to go with? Well, that's never going to fucking happen then, because not everybody in the world's going to join this cult, Aurora.
Mostly those higher vibrational states, we slowly work up, but you have to master each level. It's not like you shoot up to, you know, level 500 or 600 on the vibrational scale and then you're just going to stay there all the time. It's like running a marathon, right? And I laugh because I've never ran a marathon.
I really want her to explain to us like where these numbers come from and like what they mean. She's talking about the traps and the tools, and she said she's going to go through it. So I hope that she explains that more in full.
26 mile, I think it's 26 miles marathon. God bless anybody who has done that.
Does she mean Mother God bless?
So I've never done it, but I imagine that if you were like training for a marathon and you've never ran a marathon before, like I probably like wouldn't go and just try to run 26 miles the first day. Like I definitely wouldn't do that. You know, not even probably 10, like no way, no how, right? Like the first day.
Aurora, Lauryn, sweetie, I would love to see you run just 1 mile. Here's the one. Just one. Do it.
I'm running a mile and I'm going to see how it goes. And then I'm going to keep running that mile until I feel like super confident about it. And it's like, it's easy. I got this. I'm totally like on it. And then maybe I'll move to 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to work my way up until running 26 miles is not maybe easy, but I have mastered it. Right? So that's what we're doing here. Every day we're mastering our frequency.
Every day we're doing a marathon.
Until we get so good at it that we naturally and organically exist at the higher levels. And when enough beings on the planet are mastering and existing in those fifth dimensional frequencies, well, then it pulls the whole planet up vibrationally. That's what this whole ascension process is. And so Mother Earth herself has risen to a fourth dimensional frequency. She's waiting for the rest to catch up because it is a huge
Damn, how many people have
jump,
joined this
right?
cult in the last couple of years? What you guys doing out here? How did we get there? How did we get all those people to the 4D vibration?
Right, again, you don't just go run 26 miles the first day. So Source, Mom knows that, Mother Earth knows that. So it would be too shocking to our systems to have to adjust if the Earth all of a sudden jumped into a fifth dimensional frequency.
Okay, but that you believe in your God, and your God would have created us. So why did your God create the system and then create it so that we wouldn't be able to do it? And we would have to work our ways. That's why did Amy do that? That sounds awful. Why did Amy set us up to fail in such a way? Lauryn?
We would struggle to adjust to that in such a quick way. So it's a process. Mother Earth, though, is preparing to move into the fifth dimensional state. She has been in the fourth dimensional state for quite some time, believe it or not. I would say...
Oh, you're going to know?
Actually, I won't say because I don't know shit. But we've been in the fourth dimensional space.
Just leave that part out, because you don't want to actually have to explain that, do you?
For a good amount of time. And it accelerates as we go, right? So Mother Earth is definitely preparing to enter the fifth dimensional frequency, which is going to, again, kind of...
Okay, but that doesn't make sense. Because according to you, the only way to do that would mean that you would have to sign up most of the world into your cult. And that hasn't happened. Or is it just like New Age spirituality they have to be a part of in order for this? I don't understand. How did we get Mother Earth, the Earth, which I bet you think is probably flat, I'm just saying. How did we get it into the 4D dimension to begin with? And how are we almost in the 5D dimension? You just explained it, that in order for us to get there, right, we would need most of the people on the Earth to also be going on their ascension journey and moving up the vibrational scale, which we do not have. I mean, what, you got a few thousand people in this cult? I don't think that's going to do it. There's like 8 billion people in our world, Lauryn. So this is what I'm saying. That makes no sense. Based on your description of how this would happen, we would not be anywhere near there right now. So how the hell did that happen?
Urge and maybe force most of humanity to begin rising in their vibration to be a frequency match to the planet. This is why...
How are you going to force people into that? And how would somebody get forced into this ascension journey be able to then go on this ascension journey and like go through it properly and willingly, right? In order to go through this, you have to be willing to go through it. Aurora, don't tell me that you don't get people's consent for this. So, like, this isn't something you can force people to go on. You can't force religion on people. You can try, but it doesn't work. You can't force these journeys, any kind of journey, on anyone for any reason. Have you ever tried to get somebody into rehab before? Like, good luck. Okay? Like, you can't make people do anything they don't want to do. So this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand. And now you're all like, we gotta force the world into this. And I'm like, But that goes against everything it is and everything it stands for. And like, well, you're going to force the world to shed their ego programmed mind and do an ego death ceremonies? Like, I'm just like, no. That goes against what it is and your willingness to do this and everything. So, once again, the spirituality contradicts. How bizarre.
We have increased solar flares, increased geomagnetic storms. That is part of this process, right? It's getting our bodies used to the higher frequency
You're
states.
causing that?
So I'm going to show you the
Put the Aurora over here causing all the forest fires and the floods on our earth. Oh my.
vibrational scale.
That's her trying to force us. Okay, this is the vibrational scale here. It's a little bit different than what we have. The one we have is missing a few. We start at fear with ours, technically.
So here's the vibrational scale. You can screenshot if you'd like. But you can find this anywhere. I just put this together for our, we had done this for our site a while back. And you can see that everything under 200 is the third dimensional vibrational state, right? And then you have the middle section, which is fourth dimensional. And then you have the higher levels, which begins the fifth dimensional vibration. And the baseline for that is 500, which is love, universal love, unconditional love.
Solar flares are on an 11-year cycle. Probably. I'd believe that. That's probably a thing. Usually they do have cycles for all of that stuff, even for like the eclipses and everything like that too. You can track them. What a load of bollocks. Yeah. No, she doesn't have anything to do with anything.
So the life drain.
Okay, so then based on what she's saying, then technically the pain and suffering stages are the 3D. And then I guess once you get to the transformation stages, which is just neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, and understanding, then you're on to 4D. And then I guess you're in 5D when you're in the embodiment stages, which of course is love, joy, peace, enlightenment. And then the unknown, which again, the unknown just is an impossible thing to get to because it's the Mother God one. Right? So, okay, I guess. I mean, I guess it makes sense the embodiment stages, you're in 5D. But it just, it seems weird. Seems weird. And I'm trying to picture this going along with the ascension journey and everything we've learned about this cult so far that we've been deep diving. Right? Because, like, all of it's happening at the same time. So, like, while you're going through this vibrational scale map, you're also doing your ascension journey. Like I said, you're going through all the ceremonies, doing all these steps that they've given us. There's a lot, right? Like, it's a lot of shit you're supposed to be doing every day to be in this cult. And I'm having a hard time kind of, like, putting it together. And even if you're jumping around on a spectrum with both the vibrational scale and this ascension journey, like, it would have to make sense with each other. Do you get what I'm saying? The vibrational scale and the road of this ascension journey would have to kind of like coincide with each other and be happening at the same time in order for this to help you reach your 5D higher source self, which again, that's always the goal, is you want to be as close to Mother God as you can be. Or get to the unknown, which is being very close to Mother God. Again, she's the unknown. So, I'm having a hard time trying to picture, like, somebody seriously going through this and trying to, like, do all of this stuff every day in some kind of order. Because there has to be some kind of order to it, you know? Even if you're jumping around a bit on your journey, like, there's a start and a finish to each one. So it's like, how do we get someone from the very beginning of this ascension journey to the very end of this ascension journey where it makes sense? And I know what steps to take and what ceremonies to do and what you're supposed to be doing as a person in this thing. But I gotta say, this almost throws a curveball in the whole thing. And it makes it harder to make sense. The ascension journey and everything up until now, we could kind of make some sense of. It was like, okay, so the goal is you're reprogramming your ego programmed mind, learning to think with your heart only, letting go of your super ego and all of these other emotions and things that could be holding you back in order to reach your higher self and get closer to Mother God. There were ceremonies with instructions given. Even if the instructions were a little silly, we can still kind of read through these booklets and understand what they're basically telling us to do, you know? We can figure it out. But then you throw in this like vibrational scale map. And I'm like, okay, so on top of all of that other stuff that we're doing now, we're also trying to get through this. And it contradicts, Lauryn, it contradicts some of the ascension journey that you're on. And again, the point system. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, do you add it up every time you feel love? You put 500 points on something? Like, what? How does this work?
Emotional states is what humanity as a whole, we have been programmed into staying in and being kind of trapped in, because once you break out and you finally get into the fourth dimensional vibrations, your heart opens, you reconnect to source, you reconnect to your higher self, you reconnect to the oneness energies, which is of course what the dark does not want. So we can see at the bottom levels, we've got 20 and 30 really low vibrations, shame and guilt. And you can see how heavily this is used on the collective. These are extremely harsh vibrations for our bodies. These life-draining vibrations over long periods of time, it causes...
Because what I mean, what does the 20 and 30 mean? So that's the vibration, the number of the vibration on the scale. So what does that mean for you? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, how many energy points do you start with? And then you feel some shame, so you lose 20 points. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, explain it like this to me. Then I can make some sense out of it. But that's, like, you're not doing this.
Illness and disease, and it is the product for our suffering.
This video is older. We are going to be reacting to the one that she did this just in the last couple days, next week. She has uploaded a new video for February. Yay! This is an older one, but it's explaining their doctrine, so it's still one that they use to this day. If you head over to the 5D University YouTube channel, that's the YouTube channel that they're using. And so this is one of the lessons that they're still having people kind of listen to. Aurora's kind of lazy. She only wants to record these things like one time to explain them. Right? So like we got a huge stream about the ascension journey where she kind of sat down and quote unquote explained what it all is. Yeah, she's only going to do that once. And then it will be the same video over and over and over again that you're to watch. I hadn't really reacted to any of them. So we've been going through all of them. This is pretty much the last one that I think we're going to be reacting to for a little while. Because like I said, next week she has a new video. And after that, we're going to hear from Amy's ex-husband, who has spoken out about her. Just for the hell of it. Just for fun. But she doesn't mention units, so she's telling Porky it's not explaining anything. It's just word salad, right? That's what I say, quote unquote, explaining it. It's like, she'll only do the one video. So this is her big video that she did where she's explaining all of the vibrational scale to us, which they have a 4-page pamphlet on we just went through. And she'll, of course, tell you to watch this. This is one of the major ones that you have to watch when you join this call. Okay, if you're a part of this thing, you've had to watch this video. We're kind of trying to go through this as if I joined it. All right? We're going through the material as if we've all joined as me. You guys are just like kind of in a backpack on my back. I'm taking you along for the ride. Okay? And we're pretending that I joined this cult. And now what is it that they teach? What do we have to read through? What do we have to watch? What do they tell us to do here? And we're kind of going through and doing them. In future, I'm going to be doing some of the ceremonies, and you guys can actually see me do them in person. Should be great fun. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, this is her vibrational scale video.
And again, these are programmings, right? Because shame and guilt aren't real. They don't exist. They're programmed. You're programmed to feel shame. You're programmed to feel guilt. Guilt for what? Now, it's different to recognize and say, oh, okay, I made this decision, or I did this thing, or I said this thing. And I think shame is when we associate a past, what we would say a mistake, or something that we did that we don't like, that we're like, I'm not that person anymore. Why did I do that? I'm now ashamed of that.
It doesn't have to just be in the past. People can feel shame in the present. You can have somebody else shame you. And it can be embarrassing. I don't know. Like, what do you mean?
And of course, there's external judgment, which is another programming. So it all feeds itself. And the truth is that it is great to be able to recognize, okay, that person that was me previously, I'm not that person anymore. But we do what we can.
Okay, but that's great and everything, but what if your actions that you should be feeling guilty for actually fucked over somebody else? So it's not about you. So like you're feeling guilt and shame because you did something bad to somebody else. It's fine for you to then turn around and be like, I'm not that person as of today, but that other person that you harmed is still hurting. So then they have a right to kind of feel that shame and maybe some guilt for whatever, maybe they had a part in the situation too. I don't know. But do you see what I mean? Like, this doesn't really work. And guilt and shame are, again, normal emotions. I feel very weird with this, like, let's put a point system, like I said, on these normal emotions and then claim that you're, like, on a low scale when you feel them. Like, you do this and you put it in that way, and then you scold people for feeling like they shouldn't be feeling these emotions. Like, it makes no sense to me. But I don't know. Like, it's not always a bad thing either to feel shame. I mean, sometimes you have to feel some guilt and shame to grow, like you said. You know, you should look at your past self and cringe. I have videos I made 2 years ago that make me cringe. You know what I mean? If you're not doing that, you're not learning and growing as a person. Like, most of us look back at something we did like last year and we're like, shit, I wouldn't do that today. You know, like, I don't know if that's a bad thing. Like I said, should we be attributing these low vibrational scale scores to normal emotions? How is that healthy for development, for human development, for learning and growing? I don't think it is. I'm having a hard time with it. And I know that you're trying to put it in a way where you're like, oh, well, it's a normal emotion and blah, blah, blah. But no, like, you're putting it in a negative light.
With the consciousness that we have. So every decision we've ever made, it was made inside of the consciousness we were currently holding. So we cannot shame ourselves or others for it. When you know better, you do better. But when you're in a lower state of consciousness, you're going to make decisions in those consciousnesses. There's no shame about it. If you learn something from it and you're able to say, I'm not that person anymore. I don't resonate with that anymore.
Like, I'm all for, like, accepting yourself as who you are and getting over past mistakes and all that. But I don't know if this is it, Lauryn.
That's great. That means you've grown. High five instead of shame. It's like, okay, that was, but still love that person. You know, those are the parts of ourselves that we have to accept and love anyways, and say, you know, I love that part of me, even though she made what I would think was a mistake. She did.
Jen says, the vibrational scale could be the power consumption of her vibrator. Just asking. Maybe she needs a vibrator, and that's what the problem
something
is.
I wouldn't do now. Because
but see, that's kind of a healthy amount of shame. Like, I don't know if it's bad. Like, the way you're describing it, I don't know, Aurora.
Because you love them anyway. You love that part of yourself anyway.
You're still feeling the shame.
Because it was just an experience. Guilt, same thing.
Like, is that not repressing an emotion? Or suppressing, as she says? Suppressing an emotion? Like, I feel like then you kind of are made to do that, are you not? I mean, if you're looking at your old self, as you're calling it, and you're going, oh, I wouldn't ever act like that today, and I don't believe that people should act like that. I'm bad old queen, bad, you know? Like, you are going to feel shame. Like I said, is that necessarily a bad thing? No, because like you said, you're learning and growing from it. So then to kind of like program your brain or your heart, whatever, that you don't feel that when you look at your past self, is that not then suppressing your emotions? Is that not what that is? I feel like it is. Like, and this is something that bothers me about this call, is like at one part of them, they're always like, feel all your feelings, let yourself go through the emotions. But then in other ways like this, I feel like they are technically telling you to suppress your emotions. And again, it's like, well, which one is it? It can't be both at the same time. They contradict Lauryn. And I wish I could be like, you know what, guys? And then she went and she did the Love is One documentary. And then she was free. But then I'm going to have to bring up a video that she just uploaded.
Everything's a lesson or a blessing. Everything's an experience. Earth is the upper echelons of soul training. This is like the Navy SEALs of soul growth, right?
Oh my God. Did you just do that for real? Lauryn, you just compare yourself and a woman that took colloidal silver until her fucking kidneys and liver shut down to the Navy SEALs? Is that what I just heard? You think this thing is anywhere like the Navy SEALs? I'm not even in the US. Okay? We don't really have like Navy SEALs here in Canada, but I'm offended. For the fucking Navy SEALs. I'm like, no, don't do that. That's not... The fuck are you doing here? I mean, like, really, though. Let's really look at what they do here. Like, they do these little ceremonies where they write stuff down on paper and then they set the paper on fire. Like I did with my girlfriends when I was 13 and we were pretending we were Wiccan for like 3 weeks because the craft came out. And then they call it an ego death ceremony. And then they have all these weird rules and ways to get through emotions and all this. Like, but what are you actually doing for the world? Nothing. You're not really doing fucking anything. You literally run this cult online. You do these little webinars and you make people pay you money to do healing sessions with you. And it's not like we have a whole bunch of people that have come out and been like, oh my God, I did a healing session with Aurora the other day and she cured me. Like, we don't even have that. We just have like the usual few people that you guys had right on the website like 10 years ago. Come on. So, like, what are you doing for our world that the Navy SEALs would be doing? Like, you're really not doing anything. It's nothing like the Navy SEALs at all. You're not even helping our world in any way, shape, or form. Like, you seem to think that you're changing the vibrational scale of Mother Earth. And then that's going to save the world and get it closer to Mother God, Amy Carlson. And that's what you're doing for our world. But you're really not doing anything. Like, what are you doing? So I think you got a little bit of a nerve. I'm just saying, I think you got a little bit of a nerve. We're going to take a little bit of a commercial break and we'll be right back.
Today's video is brought to you by...
Do you have a berserker demon? You may think that's a strange question, but I've dealt with berserker demons. What's a berserker? The word describes ancient Nordic warriors who fought with uncontrollable rage. This is where we get the expression, he was so angry, he went berserk. In the days of Vikings, berserkers would enter a trance before battle to get supernatural strength. They fought with a frenzy. Sound like someone you know? As we say, they lose it. Explosive anger can come from frustration, feeling disrespected, trauma, mental and hormonal issues, and drugs, but uncontrollable rage can be demonic. As an exorcist, I've dealt with berserker demons. If you've got one, you'll need more than anger management therapy. You may need an exorcism of a berserker demon of anger. That's inhuman. I'm here to help at boblarson.org.
Whoa, looks like you got a bit of a tangle in your dangle. Did you know that more than 8 out of 10 hose owners die each year? Not anymore. Hey, turn me on and watch my hose get huge. My mom always told me I was a grower, not a shower, and boy was she right. And if you squeeze me in the right spot, all my raging fluids will come flying out of me, and instantly I'll retract to my small, natural, convenient size. Amazing! Oh, yep. Shout outs to all my flowers and growers out there. And just like a real snake, it can contract and expand like an accordion. You know, we really wanted to name it the Snake Hose, but that's the title of a gay porno. I mean, I've never seen it, but lizard's close enough. This is my next door neighbor, Sharon. She didn't know I was filming her. She also didn't know I had my hose in my hand, too. If your hose weighs more than 15 pounds, I feel sorry for you. You see, women prefer light, dainty, petite hoses. You don't want to be walking around with a big honking nanner. Oh, Sharon. Whoa, watch the whoa, don't get it caught on the thing. Whoa. Hey, buddy, watch where you're going. You don't want to end up like that guy, still using a standard hose, not going anywhere, and he's fucking bald. Fuck! Look at my hose, people. Oh, yeah, it's growing fast, and it's not kinking up anytime soon. Now, I don't know who lives here, but it's time to wake up. Behold, the full length and girth of my hose and its full potential. Hey, can't you see I'm filming a commercial here, you fucking asshole? Wah! Take that, fuckboy! No one fucks with my hose! The lizard hose is about $30. You get 25 feet. That's like, just a little bit more than $1 per foot. Now, fuck it, we'll give you 2. That's 50 feet. Get fucked. Come on, touch it.
Tiny Dinger Condoms, a YouTube streamer's favorite brand. Do you think women lie about being sexually assaulted? Do you use your community like a dating app but only date women in other countries but flirt with other women the entire time? Then leave that e-girlfriend for another woman with a My Little Pony fetish that ends up being a dude who's catfishing you for 6 years as a sexy woman? Do you then post lolly of bubbles in your Discord after making sexual cartoons involving minors and claim you are not a nunce? Do you think Onision is innocent? Then we have the brand for you. You won't need to make Sims characters out of your community members anymore and impregnate them in some weird fetish game, or date men who love My Little Pony and the Powerpuff Girls when you have Tiny Dinger Condoms. Heck, you won't even need to wank it to Faith Vickers and Ethan Ralph's porn anymore. Bet you'll soon make your own with that sexy woman or man, you know, the one who loves the Powerpuff Girls there. Just turn on the webcam and show that real live e-girl from OnlyFans, who I'm sure loves you just as much, that Tiny Dinger, and let her know that you use Tiny Dinger Condoms. The condoms that won't let your manliness hide when a man wants to come and do the anal slip and slide. Located at the CVS Pharmacy, Shoppers Drug Mart, Rexall, all of your local pharmacy brands, and hidden in your favorite streamer's nightstand, because don't worry, they're all the same. No more desperation with those condoms. Now, back to our video.
That's right, back to Aurora telling us about her vibrational scale.
So everything's an experience. The upper realms are not judging us. They are seeking to help correct us, but they are not judging us because they greatly understand how difficult it is to be here. So these are emotions to work through, right? And hopelessness operates at 50. Can see how the collective gets really stuck with this one too. It's just not being able to to gain the higher perspective, not being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It comes from also a sense of disempowerment. When we feel hopeless, we feel like we are not capable or have the power to change our life, to have a different outcome.
It's just so funny to me that she talks about this, and she talks about the first group of them, because according to everything else in their writing, in their reading, in everything, it all starts with fear, which is number 100. And so I'm just wondering how this vibrational scale starts at 20, just like it did in our reading, but then in everything, allegedly, the super ego lives in fear. And everything starts with fear in the rest of this cult. Grateful Mama says they kick you out of the group chat and will only talk to you if you send them money. $222.22. Yeah, they're weird about their numbers. 50 lies per minute. Yep. It's like, that's the score on the scale. But like, I keep pointing out, like, I don't know what that means. like that, like, okay, it's number 50 on the scale, but like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, do you start off with a number, and then if you experience that, you have to like subtract that from your energy level? Or like, do you add them all up at the end? How does that work, Aurora? We've got nothing so far.
To create something different for ourselves. So we go into a state of hopelessness, and it's just a part of disempowerment, which is again a programming. 75, we get to grief, and we're all going to experience grief. Again, that's why
right? They're like 75, we get to grief. I'm like, well, but what the fuck does that mean? Like, what's the 75 for? Jen says, since the scale has no units, it's meaningless. I know, it's like, I don't understand, and I keep waiting for her to explain this, and it's like, it never gets explained. She just keeps throwing the numbers at us and what each one is, and going through the same map we just went through. Yeah, that's fine and dandy and everything, but what does it all mean?
Emotions are the compass. It's either something
like, what should my vibrational scale be sitting at in order for me to have done this?
Deeper you've got to go into and heal and look at, or it's a collective energy and you're just helping to process it. But grief comes in all forms. Why we say it's a programming is simply because, if we look at where we typically experience grief, let's say it's a breakup, right? We view that breakup as finite. We view it as we have lost someone or something.
Not always.
Maybe we've lost an idea of how our life was going to go. We've lost a person.
Well, I guess Aurora never did the dumping, huh?
We've lost an entire kind of life that we had built up. But really, there's no loss, right? You've just reached a different level of your journey. But we can't view it from that space sometimes, so we experience grief. When we lose someone physically and they pass over to the other side, we experience grief. These are natural emotions. I shouldn't say natural, they come from programming, but we are human, and so we're going to experience these. We are connected to all spectrums of emotion in the human experience, and we don't want to try to get ourselves out of that. It's not to get yourself out, it's to recognize the emotion and then be able to transform it, then be able to process it until you get to the space, again, where you're anchored in and you don't experience them anymore. It's a process. There's a lot of belief systems about death that are just not true, which bring about a lot of grief. Instead of celebrating the transformation, the rebirth that happens, during that experience. Level 100 is fear. So that's obviously a low level, but the others are much more catastrophic to the body. But fear is where most people operate most of the time, unless they have a really challenging situation or experience that drops.
Talking about how the vibrations are bad for your body, okay? So in order for this to make sense, I'm assuming that our body has its own vibrational scale already. Do you know what I mean? So, like, if this is a point system, like they're trying to kind of make it, like, we would start off with, let's say, like a vibrational scale of, well, you're 1,000 if you're like enlightened. So let's say we start off at like 500, right? For whatever reason, that's where we're at. So then when we feel shame at 20, does that come and take off of it? Do you get what I'm saying? Are we then at 480? Is that what's happening? Or like, what does it actually mean? Because otherwise, yeah, it's all just word salad. Because like, you can talk about the point system all you want, but it doesn't actually mean anything. Like, you say it's hard for the body, but it's like, okay, but why? And like, what does having the 20 points, you say, oh, that's hard on the body, but then of course a higher point is higher on the body. But then we get to a point where we're in the transformation area. So are those ones also hard on our bodies? You know what I mean? There's a lot that's just kind of not explained here.
Them even lower than that. Most operate at a base level of fear, 100.
See, and this is what I mean. Everything with these guys seems to start at 100, like she just said. And whenever we're reacting to their videos or we're reading through, they bring up fear. Everyone's living in fear. Fear, 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 fear. So I was expecting this to start at fear. I was a little surprised that there were ones underneath fear. I was kind of like, oh, there's other ones before fear. Because according to everything else, we all start at fear. And like she just said, most people are at 100. Okay, so I'm at 100. I have fear. Right? I feel shame at 20. So then am I at 80? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, is that what that means? Like, do I add them up and then subtract each one I feel? Like, how does this scale? What is the scale? And how does it work? You can't just give me the units and then not explain to me how that works.
Again, because of the fight or flight mechanisms that were implanted and because of the programming. Then you get to one.
But here's another thing. Guess what? Your fight or flight system, you don't want to erase that. It's a good thing to have it. And that's coming from someone with CPTSD who lives in it constantly. But you want to have some of it. You don't want to be like me and have to take meds to control yours. But you do want to have a fight or flight response. When you're in a dangerous situation in your life, which we all end up in one dangerous situation at some point. All right? No matter when it is, there's a time in your life where you end up in a situation you do not want to be in. Okay? It is your fight and flight response that kicks in and saves you from that situation. So someone like me, okay, who has a trauma disorder that literally makes me live in mine all the time, I want to subside it. I want to be able to live so that I'm not like hyper vigilant and a little noise makes me jump out of my skin and all of that stuff. But I don't even want to get rid of the whole thing. Right? Because to have it is still a good thing. You want that. You want the ability to have your intuition pick up that you're in a bad situation and kind of signal you, get the fuck out of here. Let's go. You want that. That's a good thing. So it's like some of this, it's the same like I keep saying with the good anxiety, that you can have good guilt, believe it or not. You can, not feeling guilt is not always negative. Even she brings this up. So this is what I mean. Like, the way that this journey goes, you would have to then squash that feeling completely and like get rid of it. And I'm like, you don't want to though. So if you have to get rid of your fight and flight response completely in order to go up on this vibrational scale, I don't think it's a good idea for anyone. We should all just stay at 100 then. Like I quit. I'm not doing it. Like it's not really a good thing. And I don't know, like you're not taking that into consideration here, Lauryn. I understand vibrations are nothing to fear once you actually use units and measurements. This here is propaganda, fear the vibrations. Give me more money and I'll tune the vibrations to be good for you. Yes. Yes. 100%. And even though I'm atheist, I will say that they do pull off other spiritualities and religions that do have at least a belief system in this that makes fucking sense. That I can go somewhere. Like they pull off of a lot of Buddhism. They pull off a lot of like Reiki. A lot of like those kind of belief systems. They go into South Africa a lot and pull stuff from there. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head on what it is exactly. A lot of the chakra healing stuff, a lot of that stuff. If I go elsewhere to learn about it, I can make sense of it. Okay, even if I don't believe in it, I can read it and it makes sense to me. These people never make fucking sense. I've never had Aurora sit down and explain it to me where I've been like, yes, I know exactly what to do for this. I feel like I watch God passive sometimes. I end up more confused at the end. It's like we thought we had the fucking ascension journey down and we figured it out and we went through all of the books and listened to her talk about all the things. And now there's this. And I'm like, now you're throwing in this vibrational scale. And with that thrown in the mix, it then contradicts a lot of the other belief systems that they've brought up. And the problem with Love is One, 5D Full Disclosure, and Joy Reigns, even the one that Luna and Jason Castillo run, like themselves together, like they take off of these other spiritualities and then they fucking butcher them. And it's all just a way to have it run their cult. And no matter what, whenever I try my best to understand what they're talking about, they butcher it. I'm sure, and Jen, if you want to elaborate more, you completely can. I'm sure that there is lots of belief systems out here that use vibration and energies and talk about this, and they have a scale and a system. And I bet you if I went over there and I researched about it, I would leave there and I would at least know what the fuck they were talking about. And I too would have an understanding of the vibrations and how all of that works. It's really just them because they've stolen it. Right? From those places, taken it over here, and then molded it to try to fit into this ascension journey, which is then also like stolen from other areas and stuff, right? And so when you do that, nothing's going to make sense. You're going to have contradictions galore between the different belief systems, of course, and now I'm just confused on what you're supposed to be doing on this ascension journey, this kind of other piece that they have added to it, right? That's kind of where I'm sitting with it. I have a talent for Reiki. I don't know if I'm saying that wrong. Was told I have healing hands, but she's just grifting, bamboozling her victims with word salad. My belief is that those people that actually do believe in those sort of belief systems and that they can heal and stuff, I find they don't tend to charge people money for it. Right? I don't have a problem with people that follow belief systems and spiritualities at all. Do whatever you need to do to get through this world. But that's the difference, isn't it? Someone like yourself would just do the healing because you were told that you have the ability to, and that would be your way of giving back to the world and doing good. I find that as soon as you start adding dollar signs onto it, it gets a little questionable. And then Aurora here wants to run a whole cult with this. So a lot of the themes in this, I find, end up being how they can control people and how they can mind control people. Like when we got to the point in this that talked about willingness, for example, and how they kind of outlined what that meant and everything. Thanks, Joe. Have a good day. So I just feel like, that's how I feel about Aurora. She's a complete grifter, and she's stolen from all the different spiritualities and religions and taken it and then tried to help mold it along with Amy and what she passed her belief system down to Aurora here. Aurora's just trying to continue it. She's added some things in, and this whole journey is just a lot of like stolen spiritualities, butchered, and then grifted on.
50, which is anger. And typically after we overcome our fears, we get angry, right? We're no longer afraid, we're just pissed. And anger is part of this experience, part of this cycle, part of this journey. But then we start to get past the anger, right? And we start to be able to channel that energy more into self-empowerment. But we still have a couple more layers. Then we have pride, 175. And arrogance is at 190. So to make it real simple of why the dark always wanted to keep us and the whole planet in these life-draining states was because they cannot exist past these states, right? Because once you move past arrogance and pride, you enter the fourth and fifth dimensional vibrational states, which require you to be in your heart, require you to have full feeling.
So that when you're in that state, if you experience something in the 3D vibrational state, do you go back down to 3D? Like, that's my thing. Technically, wouldn't you?
Require you to start connecting to source and the higher self, which they cannot do. So they operate, the highest level they can get to is arrogance, which explains a lot about how they operate. And then we finally break in to the 4D realm of vibrations. 200 is courage. We finally have the self-empowerment. We're no longer in pride and arrogance. But again, those are part of the cycle. We now have courage.
That makes no sense.
We believe in ourselves.
You can be like, we're no longer in that stage and feeling those feelings. But then we might also feel them feelings in the future. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
We trust in source. We trust in the universe. And we have the...
Jen says, I don't claim to heal anybody. I help with pain and stress and point them to a real health professional when I'm out of my depth.
Courage to do whatever it is that our higher self is guiding us to do. We follow our purpose. We have the courage to finally kind of take our own power back. 250 is neutrality. And this is a really key one within this category.
Okay.
Because neutrality is when you stop looking at things as good and bad and right and wrong. You stop trying to box things in and understand things on a dualistic level, and you start being neutral. So you start observing more than trying to judge or figure things out. You start viewing.
But what's wrong with trying to figure things out? See, I don't like that. That's some more like let go of your critical thinking skills kind of propaganda, I feel like.
Every experience in your life neutrally. It's not good, it's not bad. What is it showing me though? And when you start to come in that neutral space, you start dissolving the duality within as well, because you stop judging internally. You stop labeling yourself this or that, and you start harmonizing. Because you're in a neutral space. That one's a very important one.
Harmonizing.
And then you get to the level of 350, which is acceptance. Because after we master a neutral.
This sounds like cult brainwashing. Exactly. A lot of this is basically that's all it is. And that's why I think a lot of it contradicts and stuff too, because it's almost like she's rewritten it in the way that you would as a cultist, as someone that wants to run a cult, right? So like, I feel like a lot of these lessons aren't real lessons with real advice. It's disguised as that, but really she's indoctrinating and brainwashing and making it easier for her to manipulate you. Like this whole neutrality thing and not judging anything and just going with the flow and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, funny you should say that as a cult leader, you know?
Neutral state, we then start to accept everything as it is in the present moment of now. We let go
Again,
of
not necessarily always a good thing to accept things as they are. Sometimes it's good to want to change things and whatnot. Again, this one seems like a lesson of just let us think for you.
resistance. We let go of reaction. We let go of control, of thinking we know better, and we start living in a state of acceptance. So everything that occurs, we just accept it as it is. Again, it's not good or bad. It just is. And when you accept that, you start accepting really deeper levels of yourself. You start accepting others in where they are at and realize that as the more we accept where everyone is at and we just focus on our own acceptance and on our own transformation and our own purpose, that trickles out to everyone. We don't have to try and fix everything. We don't have to try to control. We're in acceptance, but we focus on being the absolute greatest, grandest version of ourselves, which in turn affects the entire consciousness. So acceptance is a huge level when we get to this mastery. 400 is understanding. And again, when you've mastered neutrality and you've mastered acceptance, you start understanding things at a deeper level, on a higher level.
Peaceful Nature says, I kind of vibe with what she's saying right now in the sense that we don't have to be overly judgmental of ourselves. See, and that's the thing, is that in a lot of the stuff that they say, there's a good message in there, right? Like, is it a good thing to be overly judgmental of yourself? No. Should you be overly judgmental of other people? No. Could all of us maybe be less judgmental? Yes. You know? But then at the same time, the way that they're going about it is they're really just telling you that to tell you to shut off your judgments about them and this belief system. Right? And then, so then there's an extra layer added in, and it's a bit negative, and it has to do with wanting to just indoctrinate you into this cult. So then I'm like, fuck, now we've lost the good message. And now it's just a piece of propaganda. And that's basically what happened with a lot of this. When we went through, there was some decent messaging. You know, I'd say, well, yeah, that part of that I can gut with, but when it's for cult purposes, it tends to be tainted a little bit. We should still take accountability, though, if we do something wrong. Yes.
I should say. You gain this wider perspective and you see the perfection of Source. Mom is brilliant. Source is brilliant.
Amy Carlson? That brilliant? Not the word I would use.
Everything is perfectly designed. And you start to understand everything on this higher and deeper level, and you come into that oneness. That's when you really start to feel the oneness of everyone and everything, of just this whole divine plan, why we're here, all of it. It starts to come into this deep clarity. And then you get to the baseline of the fifth dimensional space, which is 500, which is unconditional love. And again, there are some belief systems about this fifth dimensional space. When you reach unconditional love, and again, we are teetering on this, right? We're all doing our best to master more and more each day and anchor in more and more each day to this vibration. But unconditional love is not love and light all the time. It does also not mean that you're never going to experience those lower emotions, right? because we stop taking it personal. We stop judging ourselves if all of a sudden one day I'm feeling so much unconditional love, I'm in such a high vibe, and the next day I'm angry. Well, if I don't take it personal, that it's not mine, maybe it is. Maybe there's something is really deep I need to let go of. Great. Perfect. Because now I can release that, which is going to help me anchor more of the vibration that I actually am seeking.
Okay.
Or I realize it's not mine and it's not personal, and I just let it move through me. It's not personal. So it's not that we have to live in this love and light all the time. And it also doesn't mean that when you reach these fifth dimensional frequencies that you're really starting to master and anchoring that vibration, there's a lot of ideas that means that we are just going to be these like yogis that meditate all day, you know, like the Buddhic state, and we're going to be off somewhere by ourselves in the woods, or, you know, which that could be, that's part of the journey, right? That's part of the experience. But that doesn't mean that. When you actually get to mastering and anchoring these higher vibrational states on a daily basis, you still access all the full spectrum of expression. You still, even more so, you access the full spectrum of human emotion, the full spectrum of expression. And so there are no constructs of the way that a fifth dimensional being is supposed to act or speak like or look like or express like. Those are belief systems. So the biggest jump between the fourth dimensional vibrations, which understanding is the final one, to unconditional love means you dissolve all belief systems, even the ones about what a high vibrational being is, right?
But then I don't, like, okay. Again, if you're dissolving all your belief systems, then you're letting go of this belief system as well.
Right? Because if I'm in a pure frequency, I'm existing in a very high vibration, a very pure frequency, right? And
Are you?
someone brings some lower energy into my space, someone projects at me, whatever it may be, right? It's a kind of a lower exchange that I have with another person. Well, I'm not going to react because I'm anchored in my high vibration. I'm not going to judge them, right? I'm not going to get angry with them, but I can still bring the fire. I can still bring some heat and be like, hey, not right. Out of right action, not acceptable. I won't tolerate it. This is my boundary. And a lot of people then will say, oh, well, that's anger. No, it's not. It's passion. It's not anger. You're in anger.
Well, you could just be assertiveness, but okay.
So I just want to kind of start breaking those belief systems about what a high vibrational being talks like, appears like. You know, people get really triggered still about what I love. It's so funny. The word curse words. I'm like, that it's just such a belief system. The highest vibrational being in existence could use every curse word under the sun, and it wouldn't be low vibe, because they are that's what's funny about this whole journey, is that we kind of judge what vibration people are at, like by the words they use, by the things they do, how they dress.
Is this your way of saying that, like, Mother God is still a high vibrational being? Because technically, I mean, would Amy Carlson be someone that would be considered high vibration with how she acted and spoke? You know, like, I'm just saying.
How they express, like, all these things as if we know. We don't know. There's no belief systems in the fifth dimension. There's no judgments. So simply by even doing that, we're still stuck in the external.
Okay, you're driving me crazy right now, Lauryn, with this whole there's no belief systems in the 5D, because, like, this is a belief system. If you let go of all belief systems, no one's in your cult anymore. It's just you sitting here talking to your cell phone screen now. writing these books for yourself. Okay? I don't understand that. Wes says, this is some pretty high vibe scheming and lying to her audience. It's so bizarre.
Right? Because fifth dimensional beings can do and say and express however they want because it's in a pure frequency. It's all about
So when you're in 5 dimension, you can just get away with murder? Good to know, I guess.
the frequency within, right? So just wanted to put that out there because once you reach these upper kind of
Thank you so much for putting that out there. I'm so glad you did. Didn't really help much with my understanding of the scale, though.
vibrations, and if you're really working to master them, don't box yourself in.
You can be very bad vibrations, by the way, Aurora. If I had to read your aura, it would be very, very dark, very, very manipulative, skeevy. You know, I don't like it. Very trashy.
And don't have an idea of what you think that should look like. Okay. And after 500, we get into 540, 550, which is joy, high states of joy. This is not the 3D joys that used to make us happy. These are real fifth dimensional high states of joy, which we can access sometimes. It's hard to stay there, but we're going to get there, which is when you just feel the joy of being alive. Like the vitality is there. It's there. Like you are just loving the experience of living, right? 600 is peace, which...
Yeah, just so that you know, Aurora, joy is 540, not 550. You messed it up a little bit.
Which, again, this doesn't mean that you're off in the woods somewhere by yourself. There's no one around. There's no phones or computers. Yes, you can experience peace in that state, which is usually we have to create an external form of peace to start anchoring it in, right? It's hard to start anchoring in peace amidst chaos. So a lot of times we have to create that peaceful environment, that peaceful space, so that we can start feeling the energies of peace and start anchoring them in. But the true mastery of peace is when we have harmonized everything within ourselves. There's no more conflicting energy within ourselves. There's no more dichotomies. We've reconciled and harmonized ourselves. That there could be just utter chaos going on around us, and we're still in a state of peace. That's the mastery level of peace. 700 is enlightenment. This is just the scale that we understand and can work with. There are probably, who knows, millions of additional layers of this scale, right? And into all the upper realms, but it's not something we would be able to comprehend. So 700 is not the cutoff, and that's why I wanted to say was it's not a destination. It's not the end all. You're going to reach 700 vibrational level. You've reached enlightenment. You're done. You have reached the top. No, it doesn't work like that. Then it starts a whole new cycle for us, right? Because we are not escaping the physical realm. We are anchoring these vibrations down into the physical realm. So how I've experienced it, because we all at some point are going to reach this stage of enlightenment, but that doesn't mean it's done. That just means now it starts a whole new way of living for us.
Then we gotta start over again.
That comes with new experiences and new learnings and new soul growth. And so how I can describe enlightenment is simply when you get to a point, you get to sometimes just a moment, and it's like an aha moment where all of a sudden, everything just clicks. The puzzle pieces
You have an aha moment? That's a real thing. And it's when you make like a discovery in therapy about yourself and put things together, but okay.
Suddenly you see the whole picture for just a moment, just a glimpse, and it all makes perfect sense. And you realize that in the infiniteness of the universe, it can feel very complex because it's infinite. But it's also so very simple.
Wow.
And you have that moment of just
it's wonderful, Lauryn. Poetic.
Pure clarity, where you it all just comes into form, and you just see the perfection of everything.
And I'm supposed to
And
believe that you've gotten there? Like, I don't.
and then you come back, you got to come back to your present reality. But we have those moments so we
I
can
don't get
actually
that.
anchor that in more and more to the point where we exist in that state and beyond, right? So this vibrational scale is just a gauge. It's great if you want to like keep a copy of it with you or on your phone. I think it's good, just especially if you're just starting out with transformation and stuff, to just get a gauge of where the vibration is on a daily basis. What's the average? Where am I really existing in? And it gives you kind of a clue of how to keep transforming and processing and mastering these layers. And remember, we're always going to get little tests, right? If I'm really working to master anger, if I've lived with a lot of anger, I've been in that state for a long time, and I start doing work to transform it, I start putting intention to dissolve it, I'm going to get tested. Someone's probably going to make me angry, and then it's going to be, okay, how do I respond? And in that simple moment when you overcome it, in those moments of that test, it'll feel like such a big win, because again, you may have another test down the road, which maybe you fail it, whatever. But every time you pass that little test, you anchor in another level of mastery, to the point where that's the goal, is to be able to master the emotional state by acknowledging the state, transforming the state, healing the state, and ultimately releasing. That we just organically start existing and living our daily lives in higher vibrations, and we don't dip anymore. But every time you pass one of those little tests...
Okay, so there it is. See, right there. She says we don't dip anymore. So this is what I mean. She talks about how you go up and down this vibrational scale, and it's not linear, from step to step to step, and all this, and how you're going to jump around it, and how it's okay to feel the lower vibrational emotions. But at the same time, the goal here, okay, like the final goal of this thing is to be at that higher vibrational scale and never dip below that. So how does that make sense? If that's the goal, that's like where you want to get to. And then you say, oh, well, that you might feel these lower vibrational emotions. This is why people are thinking that feeling those so-called lower vibrational emotions are a bad thing. Because again, if the goal is to be at the higher vibrational state and never dip below, as she put it, like, why wouldn't they think that? If they're at 100 and then they feel some guilt and shame, they're going to be like, oh shit, I'm going backwards. So I'm not even getting close to being in that high vibrational scale and not dipping anymore. I keep dipping down. You know what I mean? It's like, you're the one that put that out there, that was the goal, and that's where people should be striving to be. And when you do that, and you put that, like, on people, okay, like, this is what you're supposed to achieve, right? Then, of course, they're going to be upset at that. And I mean, technically, like, that is the goal, though. I remember hearing something similar from Scientologists. Yes, Scientology, NXIVM.
It's a victory. It's a huge step in the mastery process. So, and if you guys would like extra resources, again, please check out our home website at 5dfulldisclosure.org. At the libraries tab, tons of guides to utilize for any...
Yeah, we've been going through them all, Aurora. They're not very useful, I'm just saying.
Kind of stage that you're in. And if anybody's looking for, one-on-one assistance, guidance, please book a session. And
please book a session. Book a session for, $100. Book a session with us, and then I'll help you do it. And see, the thing is that they probably do book quite a few sessions with people that are like, oh, I'm trying to, achieve this higher vibrational scale. And I'm struggling. I keep feeling the guilt and the fear and the shame. I better book a session with Aurora. And then have her help me work through it. right? Feelings and emotions are not on a vibrational scale. That scale is complete bunk. Yeah. I mean, it's not very helpful, I feel like, to use emotion. Right? Like, to call an emotion a lower vibration is kind of worrisome. Like, it creates all the problems that she basically says they've experiencing with people understanding this. You know? It's all about the money. Those sessions can't be helpful as this one. I wish I could have Aurora's brain. I might not be depressed if I had it. I don't know. I feel like Aurora is very depressed. Usually narcs don't like themselves very much either. It would take me too many sessions. It would. It would. I'd drain my whole bank account.
And I will be doing a video on the tools and techniques, so you can utilize those no matter what stage of the journey we're at. We're always going to be using those. So thank you guys. Love you, and I'll be back soon.
Okay, thank you, Aurora. You didn't give me any more information, though. I still have no clue how this scale works. I have no clue how this actual point system works, right? I know what the points are. Like, I know that, like, piece is 600, for example. I know that. I know the trap and the tools, which, again, I'm not sure. Let me know down below in the comments section or in the stream right now if you want me to react to her tools and techniques video for this. But I'm going to be real with you. I feel like it's not necessary. She does the same thing where she basically just reads it off of what we have read through and then heard her talk about today. I feel like it'd be a little redundant for you guys, but if you really want me to, then I will. I'll fit it in a couple weeks. But again, I still have no idea how this point system works. Like, I have no idea what to do with this information. Like, if I'm feeling peacefulness right now, peace at 600, like, what the fuck does that mean? Do I now have 600 points? Do I win a prize? Like, what's going on? I have no clue what that means at all. Literally didn't explain it at all. And, like, I don't know. And I still feel like when I'm trying to think of going on this ascension journey with everything we've learned up to today, and then I'm trying to put this on top, like, it's a lot. It's a lot. And then I'm thinking of the ceremonies that one has to do. And then this is also telling you to do certain things, right? You know? Like right here, it's saying you have to process all of your emotions and reactions in order to get peace. So, you know, you're actively doing that as well on top of these ceremonies and other things that you're doing for your journey. It's a lot. And then I realized that, like, this then turns into quite the religion that you would have to practice, like, every day, all day long. You know what I mean? Like, you wake up and you would be doing, like, ceremonies and that kind of thing. Maybe listening to some 5D full disclosure radio. And then, like, doing a ego death ceremony. Then you're probably going to want to talk to your angels for a bit. Then you're going to be working on your vibrational scale. And you got to read up on your energy report. And, like, that's a thing that you'd be doing, like, almost every single day. And then you're reading the other stuff. And you're like, and it kind of puts into perspective how much time people would be wasting being in this cult. It's almost as much time as being in on passive, which also becomes worrisome when Aurora comes out here and then does a new video. Because yes, that happened. She's done a new video, a brand new one, and that's what we're going to be reacting to next week. So, what do you guys think? Do you think that we understand the vibrational scale? I mean, like I said, I guess you could argue that I understand. understand all the different levels of it and how much points you're supposed to get for each one. And I guess I kind of understand what it means for you while you're on your ascension journey. But then at the same time, like, I still don't. Because like I said, what is this scale? What exactly do these points mean? What is going on? What did Aurora have to say about our February energy report just recently? And what does Amy Carlson's ex-husband have to say about her? Well, please do like and subscribe if you would like to find out, because that's what we're going to be looking at going forward. And hopefully Aurora will continue to do videos again. She likes to disappear for several months at a time. It's my belief she was doing these 5D university videos, and then she was contacted to do the documentary. So she did that and didn't like that some people were talking about her, so she hid for a while, and now she has returned. So we'll be hearing from her, and we'll also be hearing from Amy Carlson's ex. So stay tuned for that. I hope all of you have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy these ascension journeys that you go on. That scale is a tool in her grift to sell more sessions. That's what I feel like too. Also to kind of help indoctrinate you more. Telling you to give up like your free will and things like this. Like telling you not to judge, not to question anything, just accept things as they are. That kind of way of thinking is usually promoted in cults, right? It's a lot easier for them to then have control over you and for you to be obedient. A lot of the readings and lessons that she give, I feel, are teaching more that than they are even teaching them how to help their vibrational scale. I wonder if she's gotten noticed in public. Me too, actually. I wonder. She probably has. I mean, does she go out in public much? That's another question. Maybe we'll find out in a future episode of Going on Our Ascension Journeys with 5D Full Disclosure. Stay tuned. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I got to get going. But have a fabulous, fabulous rest of your day. And I'll see you tomorrow for another one. Mwah. Bye.
Greetings, lovely Mother of Creation. Shout out to Father of Creation. We love you. Thank you. All of us in this together. In the present moment of now, letting go, choosing joy, choosing love. My Kundalini energy is just like been going up and down all day long, really intensely. Yippee lady is what they call me now. The biggest shift ever on this planet is happening now. Head into the present moment of now. Let go of all thoughts which don't bring you joy and get into the present moment. Out of the head into the heart, and there's no turning back now. We're losing our mind. I'm like, well, that really is the point. Yeah, so you are. You gotta lose your mind. You gotta get into the heart. Again, we're in the big shift. The big shift. As long as we're choosing love, we're always going the right direction. Get into nature, remain calm, follow your heart, and gather with like vibrational beings over the internet or physically. And I'd love to connect with you. There's so much fun. And New Earth Equal Heart, the new story. Here we come. Love as one. Joy, rain. And yeehaw. 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 Thank you, all atoms of love everywhere present, on earth as it is in heaven. Love forever and eternally. Mother and Father of creation. Be in joy, everybody. Thank you for being a joy. not done yet. So everyone, just keep being present, keep choosing love. That's all we got. Love is all we got. Dreams of love do come true. Yippee lady is what they call me now. The biggest shift ever on this planet